Good morning. It's a good morning, isn't it? Always. I'm so happy to see so many of you who are on the spiritual journey that we took, when was it, a couple of weeks ago? Would you raise your hand just so we can see? Yay! And they came back, so it was good. It was a wonderful time. We had a spiritual journey, a bus full of us, filled with cookies and chips and chocolate. We took a spiritual journey to Acoma Sky City and Canyon de Chelly in northern Arizona, an absolutely brilliant place. Very sacred, very spiritual. We all learned about our own spirituality. We learned about each other along the way. I was just honored to be a part, and I'm glad it went so well. I was so excited when I saw what the topic was for this month. That's a topic that's dear and favorite to my heart, which is the topic of being in the moment, the topic of being present. And we've been hearing that buzzword for quite a long time, haven't we? You got to live in the moment. This moment is all you have. So today I'll be talking about what exactly that is, and maybe helping us explore where we are living presently. Are we in the past? Are we in some past hurts, some past difficulties or challenges? Are we in the future when everything gets better, then I'm going to be happy? And I'll maybe help us try to find out how to center into that moment. And of course, the best way that I know how to be in the moment as a musician is you simply play one note to the next. That's why musicians, we look so zoned out on stage all the time, because we're in the moment. We're just, one note, then the next note, then the next note. The great trumpet player, Miles Davis, said it best. He said, man, the only note you're playing is the one you're playing then, so play it good, So, and that brother knew. And where were you when you were hearing those notes? Were you thinking about, did you leave your coffee pot on this morning? Were you thinking, I forgot to send that email? Were you thinking about the cells that you saw in the paper this morning that you need to get to? More than likely, you were engaged. You were enveloped in the music. At least, hopefully, that's where all of us were. And that's really what I'm talking about. And this is a subject that I could talk about for like a whole week, so I'm going to condense it down into 20 minutes or so. So bear with me and hang on. It's going to get exciting. There's a great Apache prayer that says, looking behind, I am filled with gratitude. Looking forward, I am filled with vision. Looking upwards, I am filled with strength. Looking within, I discover peace. Isn't that beautiful? Looking behind, I'm filled with gratitude. Looking forward, I'm filled with vision. Looking upwards, I'm filled with strength. And looking within, I discover peace. If you think about the moment, if you think about time, and we are, time creatures ever since that guy Descartes came up with this whole clock concept, and we've kind of been living on that ever since. If you think about it, everything happens exactly in this moment and in this moment only. Like the horn honking, it happened just in this moment. It's gone. It didn't happen in the past. Everything that's ever happened to you, everything you've ever experienced, everything has happened in this moment. You can't go back to the past and relive any kind of moment, but yet we do, don't we? On a daily basis, we talk about what happened to us in the past. We want to use it to justify so often why we are the way we are now. Maybe why we're not as happy as we could be. Maybe why we aren't as beautiful as we'd like to be, because I ate way too much in my 20s or that kind of thing. A Course in Miracles, we all know about A Course in Miracles. I think it really sums it up best. It says, nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. So let's talk about the past. We'll be exploring the past, and then your present self, and then embracing your future self. or at least embracing your future. So when we talk about the past, there's a study that I came across, and it said that where you have memories, like when you're trying to recall, or when you think of a certain thought of a condition in your life, where you feel it in the body indicates where it's happening. So if you feel it in a certain place on your left side here, it happened in the past, and so it's something that's rooted in your past. If you're feeling it on your right side here, on this side of your face, you're in your future self. When you feel it in your heart, that's your present self. So with the past, so often we have what I sometimes call the victim mindset. That's when we feel confined or judged by the past. And it's also a belief or a concept that the past is more powerful than the present. That what happened to you in the past has control and power over what's happening to you now. We say, but you don't know how difficult that my life has been. You don't know how tough this has been. You don't know how hard that my past has been. And we stay there, and we kind of use that, and we kind of mind that. And yet when we get maybe defensive at some point, when that comfort zone is challenged. Have you ever watched like those, you probably haven't because you're all enlightened, those shows like Jerry Springer or that kind of thing. And they say, you don't know what happened to me. You don't know how hard my life has been, and it's like, oh, okay, but who are you now? What choices are you making now? Who are you being now? And of course, the key words in all of that was and has been. It's not who you are now, it's was and has been. That was happened to you, that did happen to you. But in each moment, we're really giving that freedom to come back, and I'm going to show you in a little bit how to come back to that present moment at any given moment. And the reason you want to actually do that is because it inoculates you by being present, by knowing where your center is, by knowing the power of now, as Eckhart Tolle calls it. Nothing that happens is going to faze you because you have that center, you have that strength, you have that peacefulness and that stillness. And the reading this morning from Ernest Holmes, Living the Science of Mind, was absolutely perfect. When it's talking about the presence and how we have access to it at any moment. There's this great quote. It's not just a quote, but it's like a photo that I often put up on my Facebook page. It's a photo of this hand that's holding this hot piece of coal. Has anybody seen that? And through the hand, you can see the coal actually burning the hand and smoking, and it's red hot. And there's some words that go along with that, and it says, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. It's you who get burned. Does that make sense? You're holding a grudge against somebody, you're angry at somebody, oh, I'm so mad. And it's usually an ex, I've been there. If I see you one more time. But who are you actually hurting? Not forgiving someone is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And that's a really famous quote, it's a really well-documented quote. Not forgiving someone is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So the past is usually about unforgiveness or an unwillingness to let go, an unwillingness to just surrender. There's that, I'm so glad that what is that movie, Frost? What is that movie? Frozen, thank you. Obviously do not have nieces and nephews, grandkids, or anything like that, so or children of my own that I'm aware of. And there's that song in there that's teaching young girls. I love it. It's let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And it goes on and on and on. What a great thing to teach people, to teach young people. If we could teach presence to everybody now, if we could teach that in schools, presence, mindfulness, well, we'd be pretty awesome. So, but what happens with unforgiveness of ourselves or of other people is that the egoic part of ourselves now has an identity. And I believe it's the egoic self that is keeping everybody from being present. You know why it does that? Because it wants you to think it's in charge. It says, no, 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 without me, you wouldn't be anything. But the ego can only exist in the past and the future, in your past self and in your future self. The ego can't actually tolerate, it can't tolerate the presence of your consciousness. It can't even live when you look at it directly and say, I am present, which is why meditation is so hugely important. We had such great meditation experiences on the spiritual journey. We were at the foot of the Acoma Mountains, and we were right next door to Canyon de Chelly, and we had ravens every single time that we meditated. Huge ravens. They just came out of nowhere, or however they do it. I think they do a slightly different call than that. That's it. I was talking to them. So every time that we would meditate, we would be sitting there, and 15 minutes would go by, and we would end, and we'd come out of the meditation, and people would say, "We just started. Didn't we just start?" It just felt like a minute just passed. And so finding that presence, finding that stillness in the moment, it brings you, it separates you, and it detaches you from that story about your past, from the story about your future. And when we are tied into old past injuries and the unforgiveness, it feeds itself like a cancerous cell, and we vibrate that. Have you ever noticed that when you wake up and you're feeling really irritable, when you're feeling angry, when you remembered some slight that somebody said to you yesterday, or a comment somebody put on your Facebook wall, all of a sudden, and you go, God, people are so terrible and they irritate me. Guess what you start noticing? Everything that irritates you and that bothers you. And the reason that that's happening is because you're feeding that energy, you are vibrating it out, and the universe knows nothing better than to say, oh, okay, are you saying that people are irritating and annoying? Then I'll just affirm that to make sure that you're not crazy, And so we find them more and more. The ego needs that to survive. It needs that identity, but its identity is rooted in time. So we're going to find a way to get out of that time. When you free yourself from the heavy weight of unforgiveness and regret and guilt and resentment, that life force, that energy that's been bound up in there is all of a sudden free. It's like if you had a net on a whole bunch of doves or butterflies, and you take that net off, all of a sudden, and they just go up, and they're free to express who you really are. And you're probably asking, sure, that's fine, but how do I do it? How do I forgive the past? Do other people find that difficult to let go, or is it just me? Okay, I didn't think so. So how do you do it? How do you forgive your past? How do you move out of the past? How do you find a way to disassociate yourself, to detach yourself from the past? Well, of course, the best way is to treat it like the hot coal and just drop it, but we want to savor it, don't we? We want to oh man, but my mother, my dad, and my boyfriend, my girlfriend. But we have to do one of two things. One is we become so acutely aware of the present moment. We, what I like to say, experience this moment with a newness, with a complete newness. You start driving and you start to notice things you've never noticed before. You sit down to eat, and you turn off your phone first of all and get off Facebook, and you eat and you relish. And this is what the Buddhists call mindfulness. It's just, and mindfulness to us Westerners is not so good, because my mind's already full. I really don't need it to be any more full. Thank you very much. So maybe a better way of saying that is acute awareness. Just being completely aware of absolutely everything that's happening, every breath that's happening. I have this great thing that I do with my meditation group that meets in my house. I give them a handful of golden raisins. And so I'll say, just eat it. They're eating it, just chomping away. And then I'll say, okay, now close your eyes, and we're going to eat it for 2 minutes. And explore every single flavor, is it sweet, is it powdery, every texture, and then we eat the last one for 5 minutes, and by then everybody's just salivating. But it's just a way of teaching present moment awareness. I didn't bring any raisins today because no food's allowed in here, so. Okay, now, but there is one other way to actually move out of that past, to get out of that past. But this one is a lot scarier. It's a very scary word to a lot of people. A very, very scary word. And see how it makes you feel when I say the word. See where you feel it in your body, okay? Are you ready? Surrender. Where do you feel that? Anybody? Where do you feel that word? Your heart? On your chest up here? Anyone else? Surrender. Oh, right here. Yeah, absolutely. These are all really emotional centers of the body, so that makes a lot of sense. This being the expressive center of the body, and the heart, of course, being the love. Boy, our hearts are amazing, aren't they? 60,000, I think it's like 60,000 gallons of blood every day, It's just, I couldn't do that on my own, so I'm just always kind of amazed. Surrender, it's a very loaded word. But if you look at it in context, that's literally what Jesus was talking about when he said, "Don't resist, turn the other cheek." In other words, don't experience it in the same way you just experienced it. Mahatma Gandhi totally got into that. Martin Luther King Jr. totally got into that too. So in other words, don't resist what you're feeling in the moment, because as we know, what you resist persists. And boy, that's a really tried and true way of looking at things. So in other words, what's happened in the past, like in the morning when you get up, say, what's going on in me today? What am I feeling today? What's going on within me today? Do what I call a body scan. I do it every morning. I treat it like you go into one of those tubes that you get the CAT scan, and I do a body scan of light, and I say, where am I feeling any resistance, any tension? Is there any anxiety? Is there any anger? Is there any sadness or anything? And then I'll pay attention to it. I'll just look at it and pay attention to it and bring it some awareness. I don't have to give it a story. Be real careful not to give it a story, not to name it by saying, oh yeah, that anxiety here, I know who that is. That's so-and-so. Don't give it a story. Just feel it and experience. Do it kind of quickly. And once you experience it, then let it go. Just look at it and let it go. So you surrender to what you're feeling, but by surrendering, you're not giving up power. You aren't weak at all. You aren't saying that it's okay what may happen to you, but you are saying that I don't need to hold on to it. It doesn't need to be part of my story. Though the best way I can talk about it is to transmute that. You need to transmute that whatever is going on in here that may not be serving you well. Transmute that into something good. It's what the ancients called alchemy, and so that's really kind of what they meant. One of the ways to know if you're in the present moment is to ask yourself, anytime you're doing anything, is there joy in what I'm doing? Is there lightness? Is there ease? Just ask yourself that. Is there lightness in what I'm doing? Is there ease? Is there lightness? Is there joy? Is there ease? Those three questions can indicate to you where you are if you're in the past, if you're in the future. Obviously, if you're in the moment, if you're present, all three of those things are going to be true. I like to extend it and say, is there joy and lightness and ease in who I'm being? Don't you love that word being? B-E-I-N. B-in, being. Of course, being from New Mexico, we say being, I'm just kidding. So that's how you transmute any sort of any sort of sorrow, any sort of suffering, any sort of pain. And it's not that you're going to get rid of it the first time that you pay any attention to it. It's a process. It's a process, but by giving those feelings, the unforgiveness, the resentment, the pain, and the hurt, by giving them the full service of your attention, it totally can transmute things. When I was going through such grief after my partner passed away 3 years ago, I couldn't believe, the grief that I was in. I thought, this isn't possible. How can people survive this kind of grief? And so, what happened is I found myself going out in public. Random strangers I didn't even know would start telling me their grief story. Anywhere. I mean, in the Edward Jones office this happened, in Albertsons, in Walmart, and they would just say, well, I just lost somebody. I'm thinking, what? Is there something on my head, that is saying grief whisperer or something? I didn't know what was going on. And what it was, I was emanating that. I was broadcasting that because I was absolutely wanting to hold on to it, not knowing how to get rid of it, not knowing what to do about it. So what I finally did was transmute suffering, sorrow into joy. And I did that by being very still, by being very quiet with just myself. And I did the scariest thing I've ever done, even scarier than helping somebody pass on. I looked at that pain. I found out where it was, and it was right about here. Just like I could feel it under the skin. And I sat with it, and I gave it the full attention of my consciousness. It's like I put a flashlight on it. Well, being a musician, I put a big old spotlight on it. And I looked at it, and I just looked at it. I fought the urge to call it a name or to say grief, sorrow, pain. I just looked at it, and you know what happened? It didn't kill me. In fact, the more I did it, the lighter I felt, the more buoyancy that I had, and the less people came up to me randomly and told me their grief stories. Not that I mind hearing those. I mean, I actually do a lot of volunteering in hospice, and so I'm used to hearing that. But that was just a great learning experience for me, that what I was doing is I was broadcasting that level of pain. So that's how you do it. It sounds really easy, doesn't it? But it really is a beautiful process. It's a process that works. That's how we let go. That's how we forgive our past. Who do we forgive for? Ourselves. Forgiveness transforms us. It's not about the other person. And we want to say, yeah, but they need to own up, to what they did. That's, like I said earlier, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's not going to happen. So by doing that work within ourselves, we do transmute that. We will be lighter. Our experiences are going to be better. So, and I'll be happy to talk with you more afterwards if you want some more specifics about that technique. That's a lot to cover for just this morning, but it's a tried and true technique, and I'd recommend. So, just to summarize really quickly: be still, be very quiet, be very silent. Go inside, feel where you're feeling any discomfort or pain. I don't mean like physical pain, but although it can manifest as that, but where you're feeling that emotional pain, that emotional sludge. Give it your awareness, like a flashlight shining on it. Spend time with it, and you'll be amazed. All of a sudden, you'll start to feel lighter. So, like I said, if you want to talk about it afterwards, I'll be happy to. So, now let's talk about your present. Don't you like that word, present? Your presence is a present to yourself, So, and you've heard the cliche, live in the moment, you got to live in this moment. This moment is all we have, yada, yada, yada. It's those cliches that make people think that us New Age people are all kind of batty and clueless, Well, we're not all batty, but some of us are proudly clueless. I enjoy my bliss of ignorance. No. But even the term present moment can be deceptive in some forms, because we're still talking about time, aren't we? Present moment. But really, like I said earlier, that's really all that we have. There was this great Zen master. He would ask his students, he would say, what in this moment is lacking? What in this moment is lacking, and that would make them come into an awareness. A few years ago, there was this cartoon from the New Yorker, and it was great. It had these two monks that were, sitting side by side. One was older, one was younger. They were in the robes, and they were in the lotus position on those beautiful little pillows, kind of meditating. And it shows the younger monk. He's looking at the older one with a funny look. And the older monk, without saying anything, says, there is nothing next. This is all there is, So in other words, the younger monk is like, what's going to happen next? And he says, there is no next, This is it. That's what he said. This is it. So like I said earlier, to be present, ask yourself, is there joy, lightness, and ease in what I'm doing? Is there joy, lightness, and ease in who I'm being? When we talk about presence, we're really, like I said, talking about mindfulness. And mindfulness is just a way to inhabit each moment. There's a great Zen tradition where they walk up and down the roadways, and they take, have you ever seen them do that? They take forever to walk. Their heel unfolds like that, and they stop, and then they hit their bowl, then they do the next foot. And what the concept is that that's where life actually happens. Life happens between your footsteps. Life happens between your breaths, and that's just such a beautiful way of looking at it. So let me try a little bit of experiment with all of you. Don't worry, it's safe. And it'll just last a minute. Okay, I'm going to have you now just continue to look at me or look wherever you want to, and in your mind, mentally catalog every sound that you're going to hear, that you're hearing. Okay, start now. Okay, good. Just throw out what you heard. Yeah. Fans, what? Ventilation. Fans. Okay, now we're going to close our eyes and do it. So exciting. Okay, let's begin. Close your eyes and catalog the sounds. Okay, open them. Any more sounds? Any fewer sounds? I heard fewer sounds. How about the rest of you? You know why? Because that's mindfulness. We weren't actively, trying to pay attention to it, but we're being more mindful. Just that one little brief thing that we did, that's the present. That's the moment. I assume everybody went there. That is what the present moment feels like. And that's what we have. We have this moment, this moment, and that moment. So like I said, ask yourself, what's going on inside of me at this moment? Just ask yourself. And one of the best ways to access the presence or the moment is through your breath. That's why I loved when Cheryl was talking about breathing. Through the breath. Now, why is that? Well, because it's always happening. You're one breath away from what? Non-existence. And you're one breath away from life. So I have this exercise that I would like you to indulge me in, if you would. What we're going to do is we're going to breathe in. We're going to inhale on a 5 count. And I'll be doing the counting, so you don't have to worry about the counting. But we're going to take the inhalation of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what we're going to do is imagine we're on a beautiful, pristine beach, and the wave is coming up to those 5 counts. And then it pauses, and then it recedes back into the ocean on those 5 counts. That's called rocking the parasympathetic nervous system. It's a great exercise to actually try on your own. It disrupts the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the one that's concerned about time and place and flight and all those different things. It disrupts that circuit in you, and it causes your body to become completely present. So did everybody understand that? You're going to breathe in, you're going to see the wave coming up, it's going to pause at the ocean, then it's going to go back down. And if you want to, you can visualize things going back with it. You know, things like that you might not be wanting to experience right now, have them going out there right back into the ocean. Okay, so are we ready? Let's try it. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe normally. We'll do it one more time. Ready to inhale? Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. And in that moment is where life's actually happening, right here and now. That's the presence that Ernest Holmes was talking about in that reading. It's a very empowering thing to know that you have access to that presence. That presence, that power, that awareness that you're feeling, you know, it's the same presence that Ernest Holmes talks about, that holds the stars in their orbit, that creates new planets, create new worlds. The way that Ernest Holmes also says it, he says, you know, we are infinite. We're one with all the power, one with all the presence at their age, ageless, birthless, and deathless. We often think we need to do something, though, right? We need to be doing something. I can't just be meditating. I need to do something, or I need to be going to a new workshop, or I need to do this. Eckhart Tolle says, 2 conscious breaths are worth a year's worth of workshops. You know, so this is something that you can do anytime, any part of the day. Just have that awareness. And I just love talking about this because it's so easy to do, and I wish this was available to children especially, to learn that just how to breathe into awareness. Okay, so the other way to access the now is through your body. Now, emotions live in the body, and emotions, you know, they're mixed, right? You know what emotions actually are? They're a reaction to what you're thinking. You think something and your body produces a chemical, okay? Like say that you think of pizza, your body says, hungry, and it makes you feel hungry. So what happens so often is, we think that our emotions are our thoughts, and we get into this loop of thoughts becoming emotions, emotions that are becoming thoughts, and it's a loop that's really hard to get out of. Being present, just a couple of breaths, breaks that cycle. Oh, it's me. Breaks that. I thought somebody was over there. Hello, come in. Breaks that cycle. So one other way I'm going to show you how to do that is through the body. Let's put our hands down on our legs or wherever you want. So just for a moment, just be still a little bit. See if you can feel the energy in your hands. See if you can feel, you know, a life force, an energy coursing through. Does anybody feel that? What is that? Life. Now. You know, I was a really, oh, it's okay, you can stop now if you'd like, but, or you can keep on. I was a really strange boy, no surprise. I would go around asking my parents, what are we? And they would say, what are you talking about? I'd say, what are we? What are we? They would say, you're a boy, you know. I said, no, what are we? They thought I was being coy. I asked the question so often, and I went to a Catholic school, and I asked the priest that. Oh, boy. Anyway, that didn't go well. So my parents bought an entire set of Encyclopedia Britannica, and they said, read those. And I did, over and over and over. That was my entertainment. That was way before Wii and PlayStation and stuff. We had to do something back where I grew up in Hobbs. Not a lot going on there. So anyway, I was asking who are we, and I still didn't get any kind of answer. But I was born with an innate sense of spirituality, an innate sense that we were connected to something larger, something bigger. I knew it then, and my entire life has been an exploration of that. But you know what we mostly are is actually space. We're empty space, living in space and living in time. The way I like to describe it is when you look at an atom, you know, the most fundamental building block. The analogy that I like is think of an atom as the nucleus, which is the core of the atom. Think of it as being a fly in the middle of a sports arena. And the electrons, the things that circle it, are gnats flying around the outside of the stadium. That's how much space is in an atom. And there are 7 billion atoms in our bodies alone, give or take a few million on a good day. But we're just mostly space. And so what I was trying to get you to feel with your hands at that very moment was that sensation. Quantum physicists look at it now, and they realize that matter's not solid. I know it feels solid when it hits you in the head. Like yesterday, I was putting a suitcase up. I just got home of a 10-day tour. I put a suitcase up at the top shelf of my garage, and it didn't want to stay up there. Boom! I was very much aware of matter at that moment. But quantum physicists, they call it the subatomic particles, but really we used to call it grandmother spider, string theory, the uncarved block from Taoism, the God particle. We as religious science people believe that there's a substance to the universe, and that substance is there awaiting our thoughts, emotions, and words to create something to manifest in our experience. Scientists just came out with this theory that, that huge space of the atom I was talking about, it's not empty space. They call it an electron cloud. That sounds like substance to me, so. But where does that exist? Well, in the moment. Okay, let's move on kind of quickly to the future. So how do we embrace our future self? How do we do it? Just throw it out to me. How do we embrace our future self? By being present. This moment. I know nobody wanted to say it, right? That's the only way that we can do it. The only way we can experience the future in an authentic way is to be present in this moment, and it just kind of builds on it. Mark Twain said, I have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. Right? John Kabat-Zinn, you guys know who he is, really. He's the guy who brought meditation to the medical field. He says, acceptance of the present moment has nothing to do with resignation. Acceptance doesn't tell you what to do, what happens next, what you choose to do. This has to come out of your understanding of this moment only. That's a lot of words, but he's saying exactly what I'm also saying. Only in this moment can you experience reality, experience presence. I mean, because you can't be present tomorrow. You can't be present in the past. I remember back in 1988, I was really present. No. I don't know where I was back then. I was in a band, so it could have been anywhere at that point. One of the ways to bring yourself, like when you meditate and you find yourself wandering in that crazy monkey mind, is just to say to yourself, now, 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 now. And then I always add, all of my needs are being met in this moment. I love thinking that. All of my needs are being met in this moment, which they are, right? Because if they weren't, you wouldn't be present. Ha ha. And of course, as I close my message for you today, there's one other way to be present that is my favorite way to be present: gratitude. Gratitude for this moment that not only are all my needs being met, but I'm safe right now. In this moment, right now, this little moment here, this slice of life, all of my needs are met. I'm safe. I'm not under any duress. I'm not being threatened in any way. I'm free to speak and say what I want to be able to say. You know, we see what's going on in the rest of the world, and we're reminded that that's not the case in many, many places. Simple amount of gratitude can bring you back into this present moment. Meister Eckhart said, if the only prayer you said was thank you, that would be enough. Thank you. Just thank you. So what I do, I thank my cells every morning, every day. Each second, and I've said this here before, but I'll say it again, each second 10 million cells are being created to replace the 10 million cells in that last second that just died. So there is a renewal, there is a resurgence, there is a recreation at any given moment. Okay, let's go into some silence now. Just make yourself comfortable. Now let's just focus, bring our awareness to the breath, the inhalation. Feel the coolness on your nostril as you inhale, the warmth as you exhale. Feel a sense of gratitude for the perfection of your being. Say silently to yourself that in this moment, all your needs are being met and nothing need be added or taken away. Feel the breath breathe you in a perfect rhythm. Bring your awareness to your feet and lower legs. Try to feel the energy and the life force that's in them. Feel it connect with the earth like roots drawing up and exchanging energy. Feel that energy slowly move up your body, nourishing and massaging from the inside out, all the way up to the crown of your head now. All of your needs are met in this moment. Feel a sense of gratitude for the perfection of your being and the perfect divine design that is at work now. Each function of your being guided by a source that has your best intention always. Know that within you there is perfect assimilation, perfect elimination, and perfect circulation, each and every moment. And knowing that you are guided by the only power and the only presence that there is, and that with this one sense and you're one with all the power and all the presence there is, and knowing that in that knowledge, simply relax, surrender. Surrender any need for control. Release any negativity with each exhale of your breath. Breathe in a sense of newness, a sense of wholeness. Feel the gentle cleansing of each out-breath, the newness of each inhalation. Bring your awareness to your heart. Think of someone or something who you feel love for and affection. And let the feeling of that love radiate and circulate in your heart so that it extends all the way out of your body, all the way around this beautiful facility, this beautiful town, this enchanting state, this country, this world, gliding through space, protecting us, nurturing us. Extend all the way out as far as you would like, knowing that the love you feel in your heart is infinite, limitless and available to you at any given moment. And know and say, I am joy. I am that joy. I am that ease. I am that happiness. Say it with me. I am that joy. I am that ease. I am that happiness. And so it is.